Welcome back to Everything Whiskey. I'm Callum.
I'm Sam.
And today we're experimenting with different types of whiskey to see which one makes the best old fashioned.
Alright, today we're going to be doing some old-fashioned recipes using a few different whiskies, the traditional bourbon and rye, 2 bourbons, 1 rye, and we're also going to be adding an Australian whiskey into it just to add some
spice.
Yeah, just
see
to
what
see what it's like,
well.
you know? Now, old fashions are drinks that we like to have on occasions. We're going to be doing a specific recipe that is just very easy and preferable to us. We understand there are many different ways people like to do their old fashions. Many different types of whiskies people like to use, their garnishes, their type of bitters, what way they have their sugar, the size of their ice cubes. This is just general, easy, what we have, because the ice cubes are what our freezer makes. The sugar, we're using sugar syrup because we prefer just a consistent flavor instead of it not sweet and then super sweet down the bottom when you use a sugar cube. It's just stuff like that. We're not saying this is the way to do it, it's just a way that we do because it's super easy.
Why is it so?
I don't know, it's just when you get like classic cocktails like that have history behind it, you just get people who are like steeped in tradition and want it to be like kept pure, and then there's people who want to modernize it to make it easy, and then there's everyone in between who has had it a billion different ways and doesn't care.
Which this is kind of appealing towards you guys as well.
Yeah.
Because this is what everyone normally has in their home.
It's more about the whiskey side of things than the actual like recipe itself.
Especially since it's on a whiskey channel.
Exactly. So just take it with what you will. If it's like the way that we do it in a way that you really do not like your old fashions being done, just kind of understand that that's like. But also at the same time, come on. It's an old fashioned. How does the texture of your sugar, the type of bitters and the size of your ice, like these are differences, but surely they're not going to make enough difference to be a completely different drink. I don't accept that.
Well, I mean, if you drink old fashions all the time and you expect a certain level, I get it. But
so we're going to be making one like on camera so you can see and stuff, and then the rest we'll just do the little speed up and then we'll taste them, see which one.
Or off camera, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So we'll start with, I'll just do the Four Roses.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, Blantons, Four Roses, Knob Creek Rye, and the Starward Nova, is it? Yeah, Starward Nova, really nice kind of red wine finished barrel Australian whiskey. So none of them are particularly high proof. The highest will be the 100 proof, the 50% Knob Creek. Blends like 46 or something. Yeah. But let's get into it. Alright, so let's just start with Four Roses and run you through how we're doing it. So basically, I'm going to start off with, I'm going to add in an orange peel. I know people use maraschino cherries. We don't have any. And I've used it many times with just the orange peel. Squeeze the oils out, twist it, and like put it in there. Then you're gonna want to add, this is our sugar syrup, 15 mils max for us. Like it's really just too sweet. Otherwise, normally just probably do like 10 mils. Then 2 dashes of bitters. We're just using Angostura because it's like what we can find consistently. 2 and a bit. Then we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of your preferred liquor, and then ice. So we just have crap ice, like we know that, but it's, we should have muddled it actually. This is how little we make them. It's just to express the oils out of the orange a little bit more. It's not that big of a deal when you're not using sugar cubes and stuff like that. If we had a maraschino cherry, definitely muddle again as well, but it's not that big of a deal. Just add in a few of those. So give it a mix. Cool everything down, get it incorporated with each other, and then we're going to add in some soda water. Some people add regular water, distilled water, soda water. I prefer the soda water. It doesn't really make a difference. It kind of goes half flat anyway. It's just a dash. It's not like top up with. It's literally just like, 30 mils. It's a really simple recipe. People like to fight over it. It's not a big deal. It's just It's just one of those recipes. It's one of those old recipes that people like to do old way, or they like to do it however people like. We're not tasting it.
I was going to say make them all and then we'll taste.
All right.
They're all made, so we better get into this quickly before they all start melting. So, I mean, we know which is which.
We know what's what, we still just want to taste it. It's not a blind tasting, it's just like, we're just tasting
what we prefer.
Yeah.
Then we might order them as well, in which we actually prefer. The orange really jumps out, which I'm surprised. In most of these.
That one's nice. I see why you do rye with these things, because rye like sticks out above the sugar and stuff. Was that the right one?
Yeah, that was it.
So I'm having blend.
Yeah. That red wine, I don't know if that's...
Well, blend's alright.
The red wine kind of makes it a bit funky.
This one tastes the most different by far.
Yeah.
It tastes like, you can tell it's not one of the others in regards to like... That one's watered down a bit too much, I reckon.
Still got that bourbon kick though.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just do want to reiterate though, I get it, we're doing everything wrong. We're not professional bartenders, we're just like cracking in just a regular classic way of doing it. There's a million different ways of doing it. They're not all correct, they're not all wrong. This is just the way we're doing it. It's easy. Bad ice, we're using orange. We couldn't find any maraschino cherries. I've tried them with maraschino cherries many a time. It's fine. I don't think it's like a necessity for me. I feel like the orange like is a big impact with the bitters and the ice and stuff with a bit of added sugar. The water and stuff like that is not even really needed that much. I prefer it without any water. But it is all just going to be to flavor whatever you like. I totally understand any criticisms you have for this. We did it very roughly.
I mean, they are all very nice.
Yeah.
They're not how I would normally drink my whiskey.
I think for me...
maybe in the summertime I would have one of these. As you can see, it's
very cold.
I'm quite cold.
Yeah. I reckon from tasting the rye, it makes sense to use rye back in the day. Because it's like, I mean, rye was the first whiskey in America anyway that became before bourbon. But it makes sense because the flavors kind of stand out on their own once you do mix it with all these other things. Like it kind of still has
those spices
what it is itself. Like it's flavor profiles still can push through and be found. Whereas like bourbons and stuff, like especially like the more like especially Four Roses 40%, it's like quite a lot. Is it 40? 45 actually. Yeah. So, but just bourbons and stuff, they're a bit friendlier, so they get, it's more easy to kind of like dull their base flavors with other things. Yeah. The Australian one, I can definitely tell the difference. I don't know if mind it, but it's not my preference. I reckon it's bland.
Smell it.
It's definitely so weird. It's definitely more malty and stuff. Yeah. Like it's more scotchy than bourbony.
And that, I don't know if that red wine finish is actually...
No, I don't think it's helping it. I don't think anything in this helping it. We need to be doing like, if we had an Australian whiskey to put to this lineup, it should be a like bourbon mash Australian made whiskey. Just because, or rye, you know, because like that's, I think, is it Gospel? They do a rye. I think that's Australian. Yeah. So we should try it with that or something and see how that goes. But I reckon this is probably my favourite.
Should we order it now? We won't move the glasses, we'll move the bottles because it doesn't really matter. That's definitely number one. I would personally move that down. Yeah. I think I prefer that more than the Four Roses, to be honest. Four Roses is a bit more, it's a bit plain, a bit boring.
I do like the blends.
Yeah, the notes are a bit simplistic. I'd go that.
That's fine, yeah. Yeah. Look, this isn't like a super interesting episode. We just wanted to try a different, like, with something with a cocktail. It's like the liquor, especially when it's a whiskey one, it's really basic. So I want to see how much of an impact changing each different one has on the actual end result. Especially when you're changing within the same category, like one bourbon for another and stuff, and even a rye for a bourbon. The Aussie one was just for kicks, just to see what kind of like difference an Aussie thing kind of has on it, see if it's like doesn't work, or
and
if
that
it's
red
like
one actually made
suddenly
it a bit more interesting.
A unicorn, which It wasn't. It was it was interesting, but it definitely wasn't a unicorn blend. It was it's not my thing. The rye stands out. The Blanton stands out.
It's just nice, the blend.
Yeah, the Four Roses is fine, but it's just a bit boring. And I want you guys to let us know what kind of, like, if you're like you whiskey drinkers, do you go for whiskey cocktails at all, or is it like whiskey neat or an ice, and if you want a cocktail, it's something completely separate to whiskeys, or do you have your Manhattans and your old fashions and stuff like that?
Should we say what we prefer?
What?
In terms of what we just asked those guys?
Yeah,
because
what do you?
I don't
really drink
apart
whiskey
from-
cocktails.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't even really drink whiskey through the week. I only drink whiskey when I'm here doing reviews because I enjoy it like that.
Just
I don't
whenever
want to.
we hang out, we have whiskey, but
I don't
not,
want to overdo it through the week.
Yeah.
Like I don't really drink through the week all that much, and if I was to go out, I would get a whiskey either on the rocks or neat. I would never get a whiskey cocktail. I might get like a like a mojito or something like that. I wouldn't get.
I'm definitely I'm the same. It's like if I'm gonna have whiskey, it'll be on the rocks or neat, mostly neat. And if I'm gonna have a cocktail, it's probably gonna be something that's not to do with whiskey at all.
Yeah.
I would though like to know, because we should probably do a Manhattan episode as well, because that's like one of the other most famous whiskey cocktails. If you guys are partial to a Manhattan, let us know what your favorite bourbons or just alcohol, whatever whiskey you put in those.
Yeah.
Let us know what they are, so then we can, kind of use them in our lineup to get a gauge. Because I'd like to have more community input to see what your preferences are, and then we can experience that and see what we think of it.
Yeah.
It's just a bit more of a interesting and fun way of doing things. This is the first time we've done something like this, so it's definitely going to be a bit rough around the edges. We're going to hopefully refine it a bit better for the next type of cocktail-oriented episode.
Yep.
Either way, we hope you did enjoy the episode. If you did, leave us a like. If you want to see future episodes from us, leave us a subscription. Why do I always do that? So if you did enjoy this, maybe leave us a like. If you want to see future episodes from us, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. If you do, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.